For all those who don't know us, we are PEP.
Good evening. Welcome to this episode of Fresh Start Live with Fee and Pat, where the motto is, stay ready, keep from getting ready. I'm Pat.
And I'm Fee.
As y'all can see today, we switched sides. So we're doing something a little different today. What are we doing?
We've been telling story, but we're missing out one story that we should be telling.
Okay.
It's pressure time. You know whose story that is?
I mean, I could guess, but we're doing a story with Pat. Precious time. Okay.
Yeah. So you know what? I hear bit and pieces of your story, right?
Okay.
But and then every time that people ask you about your story, it's all about PEP story, and I want to know your story.
Okay.
And not only me, I'm pretty sure everybody out there want to hear your story.
Well, I think most people that know me at some point have heard my story, but let's do this 3-minute story right here.
No, we're not going to do a 3-minute story right here. It's going to be a full-blown story, all right? But I'll ask you first.
Okay.
I want to give you.
Okay.
All right, so how many times have you actually have an opportunity to tell your story, who you are, and what happened in your life that brought you to this point? How many times?
Probably about as many times as classes we've had, because I think the only time I really shared a lot about me has been with our participants.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know you was telling your story to the class.
Yeah, I tell a lot about me with those guys. So.
Okay, so I miss out.
So I think the most important thing is to know that I'm 51 years old today, and that's 51.
Today?
Well,
Oh,
no, my birthday is actually April, but to think that I wasn't supposed to be here, because it's like from the beginning, like I was telling you earlier, I was born premature. Nobody would ever think that I was born 3 months early.
3 months early. So you're born in 6 months.
I was born 3 months early.
Okay.
And I actually had to live the first 2 months of life on an incubator. So, story that I don't tell a lot of people. I was so small, I actually could fit in a shoebox. They used to call me Q Baby. Last time we hear about that. But, so I'm glad you said it, because people understand now why I have an adverse mindset to medication. My first 8-9 years of life, it was all about medication, steroids, inhalers and all that. And I just made a decision at 10 years old that I wasn't going to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I took myself off an inhaler and haven't had one since. I've had close bouts with asthma attacks when I was younger, but none since I've been older. So yeah, I wasn't expected to live at birth. Then I caught pneumonia at 12 in both lungs. Was under an oxygen tent for 21 days, and again, it's kind of like, you're not going to be here. Then at 16, I started living a lifestyle, and of course, everybody's like, you won't be here at 18. Then at 18, you won't be here at 20. And it's kind of like I did everything from 15 to 20 to make that a reality that I wouldn't be here. Because I think for me, subconsciously, life for me had no value at that time. Fast forward, I ended up catching my case at 20, lived the next 2 years out on the streets, reckless. Because in the back of my mind, it's kind of like I knew I was going to prison and I really didn't care. So I was extremely reckless. During that time, the best thing that happened in my life happened during that time, because my son was conceived. And that was the only thing I really felt guilty about doing while I was out on bond, was conceiving him.
So at which moments while you're incarcerated that you decided that, I want to live a different life?
think the realization of, one, that prison wasn't my home forever, and that I had an opportunity at life after prison, and that stemmed from a conversation I actually had with a prison administrator, probably the realest conversation any man had ever had with me in my life to that point. And I started to think, you know, what really had led me to prison? So one, I had an issue with authority. That was one of the things that led me to prison. Two, I had a higher self-value, or thought I was valued much higher than my skill set at the time, because my mindset was, I'm not gonna go work for $335. And the thing about it is, I wasn't the person that was doing what I was doing for money for myself. I just wanted to make sure that everybody around me was good. So I'm out of taking stupid chances for everybody else, and it's kind of like, you know what? You got to reevaluate and figure out what life is. I remember one of my uncles told me when I was younger, he said, man, you've been better off, instead of getting in the drug game, getting you a grocery store and just giving away the food, because that's just the way, you know, you was operating. But
So at that moment, you wanted to, you know, go on a different direction. What do you have to do? How do you know what is the right formula to become a better person, or building a better life, a different life?
So two things happened, right? So during that time, so one of the things that I remember vividly is I told my grandmother in my trial that I was going to leave Jesus with her, and I'll pick him up when I get out. I'm not going to be that guy in prison Bible thumping, right? So at that time, when I'm sitting in that cell, the only thing I had in there to read was a Bible. And I started to read the Bible more like a novel. This is like day 38 of not being around people. I'm in PhD in a holding cell. So I started to read the Bible like a novel, and I'm reading. I'm like, man, these dudes not much different than me. You know, look at David. David would have been my homeboy, you know, and it's kind of like, but he still had favor with God. And so I started to kind of, one, embrace my personal relationship. Second, education. I realized if I view myself as being more marketable than 335, okay, you need to go improve that. So everything became about education. What can I learn? Because if I look at it like that, now I'm not in prison anymore. I'm in a university that's behind a gate. So it was about learning. And as I started to learn, okay, what can you give to these youngsters? What can you teach the people coming behind you? So that's what my last 10 years in prison was about.
So what happened to people that was around you, you know, the people that kind of follow you, or you following them before you make that change? Right when you make that change, are those people still around you?
No. And most of it is because of me. I don't expect everybody to make the changes that I make. And before I put somebody in position to feel guilty about living their life the way that they live, I'll take myself out of the existence, which is kind of like my relationship with my family. I love my family, but I deal with my family in moderation, because so many people in my family are still doing their life the way that they want to do it, and I don't make them feel guilty about what they do. So I'll come around, but when it gets uncomfortable for me, then I'll take myself out. And it's kind of like even the people in my life that I've known, the crazy part about it, most of the people that I grew up in the streets with, they're either dead or in prison, never getting out. So I feel like that's another situation where I'm ahead of the game. I beat the game, and that, you know, I've accepted and embraced that, do something different.
So on the path of building a better you, are there other people that would gravitate toward you that normally wouldn't?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me some of those relationships.
Probably one of the craziest relationships that I have in my life is the fact that one of my best friends today, for the last, 2006, a little country kid from East Texas. You know, I think about the first day I met Tim, and I think I scared Tim. He won't admit it, but I think I scared Tim. But to think that prior to my mindset, we never would have had a relationship, because of the block I had in my mind, of where we look different, we're from different places, we have nothing in common, you know. But in meeting Tim and developing a relationship with Tim, it's like I tell a lot of people, it's because of Tim and Tim's relationship with his dad that I wanted to be the father that I felt like I became. You know, just hearing him speak about what his dad meant to him, it's kind of like, you know what, I want my son to speak about me in my absence like that. So that's one of the things that he gave me, you know, that I got from that relationship with him. It's just different relationship with people that had my mindset not changed, we never would even have a conversation. You know, if I hadn't made myself approachable or been willing to put myself out there, you know, so.
So what is success for you?
Success? So this is something else I tell people, and they look at me like I'm crazy, because people are like, man, you've been out for 12, 13 years, you're successful. And I'm kind of like, no. The way I view it is this. Every day I succeed in making the next right decision, because it could all end tomorrow. I think I'm successful in being able to think things through and make decisions instead of just being irrational and emotional. And even in doing that, sometimes I put myself in situations. So for instance, I have a bad problem trying to protect people, right? And sometimes in protecting people, I kind of take myself out of the situation to keep, you know, lights off of them. And one of the things I'm realizing, even in doing that, is you're taking their choice. So in taking their choice, you're really not protecting them. You're really saying to them, you know what, you're too weak to make this decision, so I'm making the decision for you. And I just think I'm successful every day in learning about me, because I spend a lot of time with me processing every day. Where I failed at, what I could have did better, what can I do better tomorrow. So, no.
So you've been out 12 years. So during this 12 years, was there any lack of judgment or your action that would have cost you your freedom?
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. And I think that had I not been in position to where I was practicing the life I was living and just acted based upon the way that I used to think, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I probably would be writing you, asking you, can you get me transferred to the unit? But I think a couple of things in that time, because I had the ability to stop. And even though I was hurt, at the end of the day, that's all it was, I was hurt. I can't say I was angry, I was mad, I was hurt. But even in being hurt, to know that I had a support group that I can go to and say, you know what, I'm hurting and this why. And in the process of going through that with me, my support group was like, okay, well, this is not the end of the world. Let's recalibrate, do this. Having that, more than anything, is what kept me from being back in that situation. Being able to say, I'm hurt, I need help, I don't know. Those three things, you know.
So when people think of routine, they think of action, right? And I know you've been out for 12 years. There got to be some routine in your thinking that keep you out. What are those?
I think I'm very routine in my thinking, because I'm always thinking, how is this going to impact, or how is this going to affect somebody else, people that's dependent on. For instance, if I leave out of here today, right, and I do something stupid, that's going to impact you, that's going to impact Greg, that's going to impact David, that's going to impact Max, that's going to impact a lot of people that was dependent upon me for something tomorrow, the day after, the day after, the day after. Now what ends up happening is I've disrupted your day, which in turn impacts Sarah and Sayla and your wife and other people who depend on you. I used to didn't have that thought process, but I think about that in everything I do every day. And it don't make life boring. It just keep me aware, because I realize a room for error and slippage, we don't have that. And then at 51 years old, I'm not trying to keep restarting. I don't know how much time I got left. I don't know, what life looks like tomorrow, but I'm not going to ruin it off of something I do today. So,
I hear a lot of your conversation with other people around as your peer. What I can share with your peer is you really don't care what they think of you, right? Because that's what your conversation to them. But I know that you hang around with a lot of those guys' children,
yeah.
and I know you care so much of what those kids think of you. What do you want them to think of you?
That no matter what, I care. I'm not going to judge them. They can talk to me about anything, and I'll understand.
Why is it important for the kid, but not for the kid parent?
Because I think for a lot of kids, people look at kids and automatically forget that they're little people who are living through experiences the same way we are. And growing up in a time where you were seen and not heard, you know, there was a lot of times there was things going on you don't know how to process as a child. And you trying to talk, but an adult feel like you're acting out. You know, that's why I can come over to somebody's house and they have kids, and you said one little kid that's just laying in the floor. I automatically go lay next to him and like, what's going on? Talk to him. Because we're in a time right now where everybody's got some kind of anxiety or something going on. So a child feel that energy, and they have that too. So, and then plus that's our future. You know, I think for most of us, we've made our mistakes. Now we have to be in a position to where we can let these children make mistakes that are not as big as the ones that we made, and still let them know it's okay. You know, we understand you. Okay, let's roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Who we got? XCOM Fitness. What's up, Donald Jones? No, you old.
No, you know, I feel like there's much more to your story than, you know, this 15, 20 minutes we have here. But that's just a glimpse of precious time. We'll continue with the story at some other time.
That's cool.
All right. So at this moment, we'll do some update.
Updates. So in the units, right now they kind of flip-flopping in the unit. So Estes came up off lockdown today, and Cleveland is partially on lockdown with a couple of pods due to come up in about 3 days.
What makes it more difficult for Cleveland is we have BPC next Friday.
Yes. And rain, sleet, or snow, the show must go on. And it's even more frustrating for me. I wouldn't say it's frustrating for me, because I think it's an opportunity for me to grow again and stretch, is the fact that I'm going to be out of pocket physically, even though I'm going to be involved virtually and electronically, is the fact that I'm going to be out of the state next week.
You know, that really demonstrating if you're a good manager or not.
Yeah.
It's when you step out of it and everything runs smooth, you're a good manager.
Let's revisit that next Friday. No, but I think my team make it happen. You know, Greg, I trust Greg. Is going to handle Cleveland. Davis going to handle Estes, and I have to, because, like you say, if it's dependent upon me being there, what have I been doing with them? So.
Okay.
This is going to be great.
So, Shin, you're going to be gone next week. We're going to have 1 week off from the channel next week.
Okay.
And then when you come back the following week, we'll restart it again.
That's cool.
Outside, still the same. Nothing happened. Still waiting for permit. But we got the quote from the construction company, and it's a little bit higher than what would estimated. So we have a meeting with them tomorrow to discuss what we can trim off and what we have to cut off completely.
So actually, one thing did change. We switched sides.
All right, what about your business?
That's going to be kind of held up until I get back. We were supposed to get together and do something with that this weekend, but after this whole deal came up with me going to Arizona, it's kind of like, you go and do that, we're going to do this.
You have a date when you'll actually launch and put in the vending machine somewhere?
So, yes. A machine is actually going inside of his wife's dad's place this weekend, and it's gonna be a soda machine. So it's an old cafe that they have. So
It's in Houston?
Nah, it's in Waller.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, let's conclude this episode.
All right, fellas, remember, we're on a mission to celebrate 1 million stories, and today I didn't know that I would be one of them, but we're one story closer. I want you guys to also remember that freedom demands responsibility, responsibility demands accountability. So until the next time we meet, peace out.
Peace.